Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to crumble!
I'm Joshua Kemble, and welcome to Joshua Kemble's Livestream. I've been a freelance illustrator and graphic designer for over 20 years. I was an art director for 9 years. And when I'm not art directing and working on illustrations and graphic designs, I'm working on comic books and graphic novels, and that's usually what I do during my streams. And while conversations can go all over the place on this stream, from spicy and entertaining to goofy and silly, one thing stays consistent throughout every stream. I'll always be working on art. So pull up a chair, get your art supplies out, and get ready for an entertaining show that'll keep you company while you work on your own personal art projects. This is Joshua Kemble's Art Stream. All right, welcome to my live stream. I am working on comics today, and it's going to be awesome. I'm wearing my Dodgers cap to celebrate our crushing of the Yankees. So if you're out there and you're from New York, I hope you enjoy the defeat that you just suffered. So anyhow, okay. So we are going to rock and roll. We're going to make some art. We're going to make a beautiful comic book page. We're going to finish page 121 of Not Death But Love, the strange supernatural story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I have so far have toned most of the panels. I have one panel left to tone, and then I'm going to get into color. And I'm going to work on some comics today and just kind of shoot the breeze and talk shop and all that fun stuff. I got Dylan in the chats. He said LMAO. That's right. I am laughing my ass off. It's fun. It's the most fun of sports is the what is it? What is best in life? To hear the lamentation of the women, to see your foes driven before you. And I feel like that is one of the fun things about the sports thing as I've gotten back into it. I have to say, it's pretty enjoyable watching the Yankees get destroyed and New York be very sad. And I hope to see more of that next year. Let's see here. We've got... we got Roll for Tarraco, a.k.a. Frank Salazar, who has done amazing commercials for this channel and is our mod. Welcome, Frank. How's it going? And then we got Gary Hodges of Dinosaurs vs. Mars Bots fame, who is apparently just, hobnobbing with the greats, hanging out with the lead singer of Tool. Just doing his stuff. He's above us now. I noticed that Gary has not been participating in any group chats anymore. He's like, friend of the rock stars now. He's too good for us. Kidding. But anyhow, you guys should check out Gary's stuff. He's well into Dinosaurs versus Mars Bots, which is a reminder to me that I have about 100 pages left to go. And I need to get going. One thing I will say about this book that I'm working on currently, it's the longest comic I've ever made. And in about 5 pages, it will be the longest comic I've made. Because I think the longest book I've made so far that I've completed was 124 pages. So if I can get 4 more pages done, I'm going to destroy it. Dylan said he's above you. Exactly. Gary's too good for us now. Dylan said, how was your Halloween? I'm going to tell you guys all about it. But while I do, we're not just here to talk. We're not just here to see my ugly face with guitars and my wife setting up for November in the background. We're taking down all the Halloween stuff. But we had a great Halloween, and I'll talk about it in a second. But we're not just here to see that. We're here to see comics. So let's get to it. So here's the page I'm working on. It's mostly toned. I got a lot done. I did have to take a night off or two for Halloween stuff. And so the goal today is just to really buckle down and rock. Dylan said, "Excuse you, it's a beautiful face." Thank you. Thank you. Dylan was complimenting my face. I appreciate that. Frank said, I just finished paying rent, submitted reports, and just had my coffee. That sounds good. Hey, you know what? 1 month where you manage to pay rent is better than a month where you don't. You know what I'm saying? That's an accomplishment in itself. I just got a paycheck the other day, and it felt good, even though it's, again, like, I'm making a transition here in careers. So it's a much smaller check than when I was an art director, but it's a happier, healthier check. I don't know if that makes sense. So I view that as a win. But yes, congrats. Jim said, "Good day. I would love to see what's on the other side of the camera. What you're facing." I am facing. Oh man, I wish I could somehow show you. Hold on. There's a way. Okay, look below right here. This is what my setup looks like. A lot of people have like fancy setups. Even where I used to work was like a fancy setup. I don't have a fancy setup. I have a single computer and a bunch of books over here. I have a really sloppily all over the place little setup here. And then here I have my art table that's overloaded with stuff that's on the right. And then there's like a ring light. That's my setup. I don't have a fancy like 50, camera setup or like a bunch of screens or anything wild. So hopefully that helped fulfill, Jim, your desire. And now I have to get this camera back into place so that you guys don't get motion sickness. Here, let's see if that'll make it stick. All right, so that's my my drawing camera. So that was a little preview of what all is in my setup. Okay, so here we go, guys. We're going to rock and roll. We're going to finish toning this page. So what's happened on this page is these two drivers just had a fight. Well, an almost fight. One of them pulls a knife. By the way, Jim, how does it feel to be part of the city that just crushed New York? Like just destroyed, just drove them into the ground with humiliation. I think it feels good. How does it feel, Jim? I don't know. I feel like the Dodgers kind of killed it. And I feel like it's a really good time to be in LA, is all I'm saying. And Jim is a fellow Californian. And so I think he might be feeling the pangs of victory as a city, because every time a sports team wins, it represents the greatness of said city. It's not just people who are recruited from all sorts of places in the country. It's just local. It's our city. And it's just speaking of the dominance of Los Angeles over the rest of the world. That's right. Anyhow, because it's the World Series, Anyhow, I get a little home pride when it comes to, this is a thing that I will say. I'm not like and then I'll work. I should work too. That would be good. But I'm not like a guy who's like super like patriotic or super like pro California until people start talking crap on my state, and then I start getting really defensive of California, because I'm like, wait a minute, California, we fund like most of the country, like California is a great state. We have like some of the best industry in we make, like, as a state, like most of the entertainment for the world is made in California. There's things we have some of the most beautiful beaches, some of the most beautiful deserts, the area I live in. We're a great state. We have great weather. It's a good state. I don't feel that until somebody comes at my state, and then I suddenly feel like a little bit of like a, yeah, but I mean, we're California. Like, you know, it's the same with Los Angeles. Like, I don't tend to feel, you know, I know there's problems with Los Angeles and stuff like that, but Los Angeles is a great city. It's one of the best cities in the world. You know, New York is as well, but like apparently not as good. Okay. Anyhow, enough smack talking. My point is, I get a little territorial about places I grew up in, and having pride in my country or my state when we're attacked by another state. Then that's the only times where I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, if you live in Los Angeles, you're allowed to talk crap on Los Angeles. But if you don't live here, you know, you're just, a lot of that crap talk is just coming from envy. So that's my thought on it. I'm just saying. Okay, what are we talking about here? Frank said, my setup is an old phone stand, my phone and me. So you have a very good setup. Thank you. I just was noticing that a lot of people who do live streaming and stuff, you know, even where I used to art direct, like I'd have, you know, multiple monitors and stuff like that. But for me, it's like I just have one monitor, and a pretty simple setup. And I like it that way. I'm kind of a one. I'm kind of like that with guitars too, where it's like I'm kind of tend to be like a one pedal guy. I have a guitar, distortion, and clean, and for me that's happy. That's happy. That's happy for me. I apparently can't talk today. Anyhow, I'm pumped. I'm feeling good about the weekend. I'm feeling good about getting caught up because I am way behind. And I'm guessing that this year will be a lot of being behind. And that's okay. Because I have a lot of stuff I got to do. A lot of stuff I got to do. And I think we all do. Yeah, so, okay, here we go. We're going to do this hat and just kind of tone this page while I talk. Because sometimes I can get lost in that. Dylan said, it's like you can call your sibling an idiot, but your friend can't. That's a perfect example of it. It is like that. It's like if you have a best friend that you kind of tease all the time, it's like, that's okay because it's like your best friend, you know? But like if you're out in public and somebody starts going at your best friend, you're like, oh no, 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 no. That's my friend. Like I can talk crap, but you cannot. You know what I mean? I feel that way about Los Angeles quite a lot. But I mean, I never quite understand because a lot of people will talk badly about California, justifiably for some things. Like we have problems in California sometimes. We have very high taxes. Believe me, we do have high taxes. You know, we have a lot of negatives. It's a cost of living is insane. In you know, in the area I live, it's like on the outskirts of LA County, and it's super cheap for LA County. But what's funny is if you go to the Midwest and they're like, you know, I got a house for this much, people would be like, that is ridiculously expensive. And here it's like if you say I got a house for this much, like in the outskirts of the major city, you know, and that would be in the Midwest, like in the like in the inner city, like the big, you know, area that's like the place everybody wants to live. With us, it's like you're on the outskirts of said city, and the price that you pay for a house is like ridiculously expensive for the rest of the country. But if you say that to a Californian, they're just like, "Whoa, how'd you get a house for so cheap?" You know, like it's. So we've got problems. I get it. There's some problems in LA, for sure. But overall, it's a great city. You know, my son is playing a video game that has like some really cool kind of. I'm trying to think of the kind of music it is. It's like a horn section that's like ba, 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 da, 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 da. It sounds kind of like game showish, and it's in the background, and it's really it's very interesting. It's kind of making me feel amped up for this this great thing. Chris was saying, oh man, don't get me started on housing prices here. But here's the thing. If I heard somebody in, let's just hypothetically throw out a state, like in Minnesota or something, who's like, man, California, those prices are ridiculous and just overrun by homeless people and blah, blah, blah. I'd just be like, shut up, dude. You live in Minnesota. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, cool, but also we're like the backbone of the whole country and we're funding half the states that would be like, oh, those Californians. So like, again, if you're in California, you're having to deal with the high cost of living, all of that. By all means, talk crap. You know, you're here. You're the sibling. You're allowed to. But if you're not here, you know, don't crap talk California. That's all I'm saying. You know. Dylan said that Minnesota accent. Chris K is in the house. That's correct. That's what Frank was saying. So Chris K, brilliant dude. Okay, so somebody asked about Halloween, so let's get into that before I get all nationalistic about our state. Chris was saying we pay a premium for good weather and feeling like we're cool. But we are cool. It's not about feeling we're cool. I mean, we are pretty cool, you know? I'm just saying, you know, it's true. Like Frank said, California knows how to party, you know? California. You know what? One last thing on the California pride thing, okay? And I know some people might be like, pride come before the fall. You know, that pride is a sin, that kind of thing. I get it. But one last thing on the being proud to be a Californian. I felt this way with the whole Drake versus Kendrick beef. I really like Kendrick Lamar, right? I've been into Kendrick Lamar since Good Kid, Mad City, and as a guy who, you know, I dip into hip hop, and I'd say I'm like a fan of well done hip hop. I listen to the rap music sometimes. Please don't say what this is about. And as a guy who does like enjoy that, I have always, I think it might be my age or something like that, I have never listened to like a song by Drake and been like, this guy is fire. This guy is doing something new with hip hop. I just never had that. I've heard some songs where I'm like, well, this would be nice at a party. But I've never been like stunned by the art or the artistic genius of like Drake. Okay, whereas I have had times where I've listened to Kendrick Lamar like do albums where I'm like, this thing is like this is art. You know, it's like a piece of artwork. But there's also a part of me that like the Drake Kendrick beef thing just again brings out that like psycho Californian in me where it's like, dude, I'll be the most critical of my state until some Canadian comes and claims that they're like gonna do hip hop better than our guys, our boys, who like, again, the real rivalry there with hip hop would be New York, right? Like if New York's talking hip hop, okay, there's a lot of legit argument there. They're the birthplace of hip hop. There's a lot of great New York hip hop, right? But Canada, come on. And again, Canada could make the same claim if I was going to say like, man, we have the most beautiful vistas and beautiful countryside. It's like, no. Like Canada has some amazing, natural wonders and stuff like that. Even if we were talking comics, you know, Canada would have a pretty good claim for that. They have Olive Drawn and Quarterly. Like, you know, there's some great artists that are Canadian. There's great comedy, great Canadian comedy, but hip hop, no. I'm sorry, Canada, no. That's not going to happen. Like a hip hop battle where Canada wins. If that happened, if a Canadian won a hip hop battle against our homebred, you know, thing that we just do best, That would be like, yeah, that would just be ridiculous. I was trying to think of like a good analogy, and I almost can't. I think the world would have to explode afterwards just because of the thing that goes. Chris was saying, I don't care much about sports, but good job, Dodgers. Yeah, and I've been that guy for. I picked a good year to get back into baseball. I just like, for some reason, we got some free tickets to a baseball game with my kid, and we went to the game, and I was like, oh, I actually like this. And then I started watching sports, which is really bizarre because I'm not a sports guy myself. So anyhow, my point is, I have a lot of good friends who live in Canada. I think Canada might be a superior country with certain things. Like, I think they have better healthcare. I think potentially better politics. I think potentially maybe even better citizens a lot of the time. Because again, I've never met a mean Canadian. When I was in, and again, that might just be my bias, but it's like when I was up for TCAF, it's like I have never experienced a downtown or an inner city that was like that, like friendly and accommodating. And even the comic convention was like, it was just one of the best conventions I've ever been to. So I'm all about Canada. I think it's beautiful, but Canada cannot win a hip hop battle against, like a literal Nobel laureate. Okay. Like, that's just not going to happen. I'm sorry, it'd be like saying like Canada is going to win a rock contest. It's like, okay, there might be some good rock musicians, but I'm sorry, like California will always win that contest. Maybe Detroit, maybe Michigan, maybe New York, right? But in general, California is going to win that contest. That's where I like our state. We're kind of good at entertainment. Anyhow, so that's me being all, biased towards California. So what else? Okay, so what did we do for Halloween? So Halloween was awesome. My son went as Dipper from Gravity Falls. My wife went as a fluffy jack-o'-lantern, and it was a rad costume. I went as Wolverine, and then I am forgetting the name of the character that my sister-in-law went at. What was the character, May? I can't remember. Oh well. Anyhow, May went as Sam from Trick or Treat. Okay, that was it. Yes. So then it was pretty fun. What was cool was, and this is like one of those like nice dad moments. We kind of escorted my kid and his best friend throughout the neighborhoods as they were trick or treating, and kind of stood back a little bit so they could kind of feel like they're on their own in the dark night, in their cool costumes, like getting to go to strange doors and knock and get candy, And what was fun about that was I had a lot of that moment of remembering when I was in the exact same grade, when I was the exact same age, going trick-or-treating with my best friend, because their conversations that they were having, like my son, I overheard him saying, what if like a werewolf like came out right now, and like how would we fight that werewolf? And his friend's like, well, what we'd have to do, and they're like coming up with the logistics of how they're going to fight a werewolf, and just kind of goofing around and playing with their costumes and like and loading, like a pillowcase full of candy. And I was like, this is Halloween. And not only that, like, it's so meaningful to see my kid be able to have that. And I was really thankful that he has a good friend. Like he's made a best friend, to be able to do that kind of thing with. Because again, I remember at that age, that being one of the coolest things in the world was like on Halloween, you go out with your best friend you know, get a bunch of candy, you have a bunch of fun, and, you know, and you feel a little like dangerous, like you're going to these strange places and getting candy and getting to, you know, dress in costume. And it was just really magical to be on the dad side of that, you know, and be kind of sitting back a little bit, escorting, you know, like making sure nothing bad happens, but, you know, from a distance. Dylan was saying, I always enjoy a conversation about how to destroy a werewolf. I agree. That's pretty good. Dylan also said he loves maple syrup and loves Gravity Falls. And then Frank said, actually, okay, so before that, Dylan was saying, what are you going to do, Canada? Say sorry, pronounce about a boot, maple syrup, hockey? That would be redonkulous, but that's where he crossed a line with Frank. Because I don't know, people who are new to this channel or not as familiar with Frank may not understand. Frank has a deep love and appreciation of maple syrup. He's even created a secret society, you know, about maple syrup. Frank does not mess around with syrup, and one cannot denigrate the good nature of syrup on this channel without facing the ire and wrath of Mr. Frank Salazar. Frank said, I mainly just went to the library and tried to finish paperwork, make prints for RPG stuff, and snagged some candy from the library candy bowl. Nice. Yeah, Frank was saying, I do Brothers in Maple. I'm telling you, Frank is like, yeah, he is a maple syrup connoisseur. Anyhow, so what do we have here? We have the last page that to tone of Not Death But Love. But yeah, so my point was just that that Halloween was really great, and one of the funnest things, or most fun things, that's a pet peeve of mine when people say funnest, because I don't think funnest is a word. If it is a word, it just doesn't sound right. Funnest. But yeah, Frank said, I have a music video on my channel about maple syrup. Josh isn't joking. It's true. Frank Salazar is probably one of the most passionate people I've met about maple syrup, which I understand because maple syrup is delicious. And the real stuff, like a lot of people don't quite understand the difference. You know what it is? Imagine a person who, you know, has only had like Coors Light or like Miller High Life or something, and they're like, yeah, beer's okay. And you're like, but like, you've only had like, you know what I mean? Like, do you like beer though? I mean, do you really like beer? Do you understand how good beer can be if you've only had, you know, like really cheap beer? I think Frank would make the argument about that too. And I'll agree with Frank on this. I'm not a maple syrup connoisseur, but I will say, if you ever have the chance, if you've only had, you know, like the plastic bottled, you know, store maple syrup, right? And if you've never had the experience of having like real maple syrup, like get the glass bottle, like the legit stuff, it is like equivalent to the difference of like a really good microbrewed beer, you know, versus like a Miller High Life. Like it's equivalent to the difference of like, you know, a Hershey bar versus like fine chocolate. It is so good. And I will tell you, if you have like real maple syrup on, you know, like a pancake, the difference between the cheap syrup and the real stuff is significant, to the point where you don't even have to pour as much syrup on your pancakes with the real stuff. because it's so much stronger and richer and the flavor is so much better. So while I would not claim connoisseurship or the level of obsession that Frank has over syrup, I will say I do back Frank in the sense that there is a notable quality of flavor and life difference between real maple syrup and the store bought, off the shelf, Aunt Jemima kind of stuff. Which, by the way, is not bad, but it's just not. It's like Hormel chili, It's Hormel chili isn't bad, You can have Hormel chili on like a chili dog or whatever, and it's okay. But it's never going to taste like, the chili from a really good, like, chili cook-off, or the really fine chili recipes and stuff. That's the difference, Frank said, I have a glass maple syrup shaped like a maple leaf right here. I kept the bottle as a memento. I love it. Dylan says, pancakes and waffles. I like both, but I like how waffles have the squares, and I like to fill them up with syrup. I will agree with you. Pancakes are delicious. Waffles, at least in the case of with syrup, might be superior because of those little pockets to fill with maple syrup. However, I will say this. This is just rambling about waffles and pancakes, but I do feel like waffles... like if we're scoring waffles versus pancakes, waffles win at the beginning when they're right hot off the grill or hot out of the toaster, and they're still crispy and there's like melty butter and you got the little pockets full of the syrup. However, waffles fail about a minute to 2 minutes into eating compared to pancakes, because when a waffle loses its crispness and becomes kind of wobbly, it doesn't taste as good as a pancake. When the pancake has sat there and absorbed syrup, it can last. It has more longevity, the pancake. The waffle has to be eaten sooner to be good. So I think the waffle for like the first minute or two of eating is superior. But then for longevity, I think the pancake wins hands down, because it's a better overall experience. Does that make sense? I'm curious what you guys let me know your hot takes about waffles and pancakes in the chats. Chris said, my kiddo's first time trick-or-treating. She loved it, and it's fun to meet some of the neighbors. It's also so fun at that age, Chris, that your kid's at. That's about when Ben first trick-or-treated. And I have so many good memories of that, because it's like he was learning how to, go to the door and be like, trick or treat. And it's just really, I don't know, it's adorable. And it's fun to see people kind of gush over how cute your kid is. They'll be like, oh my gosh, what an adorable costume. And you're like, yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't know. But yes, Chris, I'm going to just relay what everyone has told you a million times. Treasure those moments and those times, because it goes pretty quick. I think my kid has about 2 years left of childhood, and then it's teenage. That's how quick it goes. It goes fast, man. But it's fun, and every year's fun, but it does go quick. What does it say here? Oh, Gary said pancakes win hand downs. Waffles are like a banana that's best for 3.5 hours, and after that it's garbage. I agree. That's what I'm saying. Like, although, however, let's change the dynamic here in the waffle versus pancake discussion. What if you add hot wings to the equation? What if we're talking chicken and waffles? If you had to compare, I think my wife is getting hungry from our conversation. But what if you compare chicken and waffles to waffles or to chicken and pancakes? I think that might make waffles a more strong contender? Chris said hot takes and hot cakes. Waffles are sprinters and pancakes are marathon runners. I think I'd agree. I'd agree with that. Yeah. Because I will say, like, man, that first bite, of a waffle, hands down wins. For if it's a first bite contest, the first bite of a waffle, fresh off the grill, is a magical moment. But if we're talking like 10th bite, yeah, hands down, pancakes. Now here's where I want to get into the real breakfast conversation, guys, because this is what this channel is about. It's breakfast and comics, maybe coffee and syrup. Breakfast, comics, coffee, and syrup. By the way, the syrup wars. I started this stream being like, talking about Los Angeles just destroying New York, which they did, and I hope I hope Yankee fans had a really bad day. It was a good game. They put up a good fight, but I still am really proud of LA. So I started with that, but I'm just saying, if we're talking about state, like pride in your state and stuff like that, I will say California is not really rocking in the syrup department. We're not winning any syrup contests. That is definitely not the realm of California. And so if we're talking about pride in syrup, pride in like breakfast burritos, we would be up there. We'd be a strong contender. But for, breakfast stuff, if we're talking syrup and breakfast, we may not be the best state. Okay. So, okay, but let's get into this. Okay, let's make the conversation a little more complicated. French toast. French toast in the equation. Where does French toast land for you? I want to hear the chats before I say my take on French toast. But so you've got, it feels like it was kind of a consensus where it's like waffles are delicious, but they kind of get less and less delicious. They have diminishing returns, right? Like you get a really good quick hit from a waffle, and then it's all kind of downhill from the first bite. Pancakes have more longevity and durability. Pancakes, I will say, even taste good reheated sometimes. Whereas you're pretty screwed with a waffle. Like the second the waffle's been cooked, it's all downhill from there. Like it starts good and it's going to get worse and worse the longer that time. But let's bring in French toast to this this conversation, because I will tell you guys, my go-to tends to be French toast. Because it's like, here's the thing about French toast. French toast is delicious.
Okay.
It's if it's cooked right, it is
banana and yogurt.
Oh, Benji was bringing up
banana and yogurt.
Yeah, that is Benji's jam.
Is perfect.
Yeah, Benji's jam is banana and yogurt. That's his one of his favorites, which I will agree is delicious. But so if we're talking about like a container for yummy syrup, right? Or if we're talking, powdered sugar, right? Or if we're, like I am, where you're talking powdered sugar and syrup, I feel like French toast is a very strong pancake contender. Like, I feel like French toast could defeat a pancake. Like, if we're having a heavyweight battle, I feel like French toast is a contender that can be a marathon runner. But I want to know everybody's takes. Because the other thing about French toast that's great is it's less absorbent than a pancake. So French toast, I think if we're talking like longevity, because of the egg in it, doesn't absorb the syrup as quickly. So you have a more a longer duration of syrupy, breakfasty goodness. Gaz said, pancakes are the most forgiving overall. Hard to make terrible. French toast is the easiest to be bad. I'll give you that. It is much easier to make a bad piece of French toast than it is to make a bad pancake. You have to work really hard to screw up a pancake. Right? To get a pancake wrong would be almost mathematically impossible. Even if you mess up the batter a little bit, it's like there's something about the pancake itself and the simplicity of it where it is much easier to hit a home run with a pancake, right? A pancake is like the Dodgers. It's much easier to hit a home run. Whereas I guess French toast would be like the Yankees, where it's like you have some good players, but they're much more likely to fail. I'm going to just keep rubbing that in. Gaz said, good French toast is awesome, but it's often not good. I can agree with that. Yeah, like you can have like soggy French toast.
Crepes. Beat all.
Ooh. My wife's getting the conversation even more complicated here by bringing in crepes. What are your thoughts on crepes? I feel like crepes are good, but I think if we're talking about syrup vessels for the syrup, I don't know if I associate syrup with crepes as much. I will tell you guys.
I like a savory. Yeah, but syrup with savory is good.
Dylan said, question, do you like breakfast for dinner? I do enjoy it, but my body is like, what time is it? Is it morning time? I am one of those people who since I was a kid, if I can pick any meal, any time of the day, it's going to be breakfast 9 times out of 10. Breakfast for dinner, breakfast for lunch. Breakfast is the absolute best. But my wife points out a good thing, which is breakfast can make you sleepy. Because it's heavier food, you know. It's like there's a lot of food coma.
I was gonna do that for our wedding.
Creation. Mai was also saying we were going to do breakfast for our wedding. And again, I'm a little biased because my favorite food of all time is breakfast burritos. So, like a chorizo breakfast burrito.
Burrito, like make your own burrito tray at a party.
Oof.
Come on. Why are we talking about this and not buying breakfast?
So I will say this. I think when I'm done shading this page after all this talk of breakfast, we might have to order some breakfast. We have some pretty great little breakfast joints near us too. But if we're talking syrup containers, I do think pancakes and syrup are just such a solid go-to. Although I will say, man, I do really love some chicken and waffles. Chicken and waffles, you know, there's something about... But see, chicken and waffles, if done right, aren't really a syrupy thing. Like, in my opinion, the right kind of chicken and waffles are like more of a hot sauce kind of game than a syrup game. You know what I mean? So it kind of goes into a different category than the syrup vessels, the vessels for syrup. Dylan was saying, I do love breakfast burritos. And also Frank was saying, ooh, chorizo burrito. Chorizo is just great. Here's the thing though, at my age, I have to be careful with chorizo. Like this has only happened in the last like year or so where there's an old statement that you don't buy beer. It also is used with coffee. Like you don't buy beer, you rent it. You don't buy coffee, you rent it. Because it's gonna. I've finally gotten to the age where you don't eat chorizo, you rent it. Yeah, chorizo is something I have to really consider before I'm gonna pay the cost for the next few days. Which is sad. When I was younger, that didn't happen, but I finally reached that age where, yeah, if I'm gonna have my favorite food, man, I gotta have some contingency plans for the next few days. Frank was saying it's 1:39 p.m., so no breakfast burritos. What are you talking about, man? There's a ton of places that'll rock breakfast burritos all day. You just gotta ask. Breakfast is a doable thing. Dylan was saying chorizo is hella delicious. I love that. Did you guys know that hella? Well, now I'm kind of curious. Gaz, you're also a Californian. Do you have a similar thing? Like I get real. I mean, to be fair, you got some Jersey roots. So I actually now I'm kind of curious. Gaz, how did you feel about the humiliating defeat of the Yankees? Because I just realized you might have kind of like a heartfelt connection to one because of the Jersey roots. But as a now California resident, and you've been a California resident for quite a while, how do you split your loyalties when it comes to something like that? The Dodgers Yankees divide. I wonder if you get the same territorial pro California thing, or if it's like baked in to be like, don't like you. If you're a Jersey resident, you can crap talk Jersey, but if you're not from Jersey, you don't talk on Jersey. I don't know. I'm curious which area you end up there. Gaz was saying breakfast always. I had breakfast burrito for lunch yesterday. It's easy when a vegetarian. No chorizo. Have you ever had veggie chorizo? It's delicious. I'm just saying. There is like a veggie kind of fake chorizo. And here's the thing about a lot of vegetarian meats. They're not really meats, but they're like made to kind of simulate meat. I have a theory on that, which is I don't think this is my own opinion. I kind of don't like vegetarian foods that are trying to simulate meat. Like if I have my choice between like one of those like pseudo meat burgers or like a black bean burger, give me the black bean burger like 9 times out of 10 because it's so much better. Or give me like the portobello, like a portobello sandwich where it's not trying to make meat. It's trying to make, like a different flavor, but it's adding the protein, it's just much more delicious to me. I will say though, there are some where it's really good, like the fake meat stuff. And I would say the chorizo is an example. And I think why it works, like why veggie chorizo works, is it's using a lot of the seasoning that's in chorizo. And weirdly enough, chorizo doesn't taste that much like meat. Like a lot of the flavor of chorizo is in the spices that are kind of mixed in. So soy in chorizo, I think kind of hits the mark because I think chorizo is a spicy, it's a spice based, like the main flavor of the chorizo isn't coming from the meat. It's coming from the spices and the seasoning. Gaz said, I am Jersey pride, but I don't care about sports. Yeah, so you're more on the Jersey side. So, but I think Jersey's a city like LA where it's like when people, like anybody from Jersey probably has free reign to talk crap on Jersey. But if you're not from Jersey and then you're just crapping on Jersey, it's like you're going to have anybody who grew up in Jersey being like, wait. No. You know what I mean? I think generally that's kind of how it goes. Dylan said, I agree. Chorizo doesn't really taste like meat, but the spice. Yeah, I feel like to me with vegetarian options, and this is my own opinion, and I'm not a vegetarian, but my wife was a vegetarian for the first, decade or so that we were together. And so we ate tons of vegetarian food. And the one thing I noticed was the vegetarian foods that I really enjoyed were all foods that kind of explored the flavor of the food rather than trying to like simulate meat. And so I did notice like the ones that were trying to simulate meat would only really work if it was like a dish that was kind of about spice and seasoning rather than the flavor of the meat itself. So I think that's why chorizo kind of knocks it out of the park with vegetarian. Yeah, Gaz was saying people who don't know shouldn't talk. I agree. Okay, so we are getting there. Except I will say that, look, okay. New York kind of did us a favor. New York, Jersey was like second in line for this. They did us a favor and like kind of, invented baseball and probably have like the best, at least the Yankees have the best record of any team in the world, But we evolved it to be, we took it from them. The Dodgers actually were a Brooklyn team. So we took the Dodgers, right?
Dad,
And we grew them to be a
Dad?
better team because we're California, we're a better state. Yes.
where are Mom and May?
Mom and May are, I don't know. I think they probably went to get food after all this food talk. Actually, it looks like they're walking the pup. Yeah.
They both did?
Yeah. Did you do those drawings?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was making signs for a real life Never Have I Ever.
Wow. Benji's making little art projects.
Just signs for if we wanted to play Never Have I Ever.
Yeah, Chris was
That's
saying,
what I had to do.
Chris was mentioning our friend Nick. I'm curious what Gaz thinks on this. Our good friend Nick from art school was such a Jersey kid that he got his Jersey Turnpike. Like, I guess he was saying that in Jersey, everybody has like an exit number or a freeway number or something. I don't know how it works, but he got the number of that tattooed on his arm. Like, and I guess that's a very Jersey thing. That's what I don't know. So he grew up in Jersey. Good friend of ours. Okay, so now all we have to do is finish the shading of this.
Hey guys,
Oh, that's
Don't
the
forget-
Ben.
don't forget to go ahead and eat those like and subscribe buttons. Trust me, they taste delicious with all of the new content that's being released in them.
Oh my goodness. Did you guys hear that? Ben just chilled for me in the best way. Oh, Gaz was saying the Parkway. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, our buddy Nick is a great dude too. Yeah, Frank was saying people do that with the area code here, mostly gangs though. Same with LA. It's it's definitely there's a lot of the area code thing. Gaz was saying 109 here. Nice. So you guys all know that's a thing. That's a thing. So anyhow, my buddy got it tattooed on his arm. Ben is an influencer. He is. He was like telling you guys, just to repeat what he said, if you guys are, listening to this and you hit like and, the bell so you get notifications, stuff like that, that helps. Okay.
Yeah.
All this talk of breakfast, I am now hungry for breakfast food. So I might, after I finish shading this, take off to do breakfast. Because it will be about lunchtime at that point. Maybe you guys can join me. Let's see here.
Yeah, maybe you continue streaming over there.
I don't think I'll stream Ben during eating. Because I always feel like, I don't know about you guys, I don't really want to hear people eating.
You can probably either just have a long break or just start
Yeah.
streaming again.
That's what I'm thinking, Ben. I'm thinking.
I would probably recommend the break so that you keep your current audience though.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. Is we'll probably finish the shading, Ben, and then do that.
As long as my parents are there. Well, the other parents may.
Dylan said, Frank, this year is surprisingly cooler than most year due to global warming, though. It's 71 degrees in my area. Whew. And then Paul said just 8, though, in regards to eating the like and subscribe.
Wait, so you've already liked the video and subscribed?
I'm guessing he did, Ben.
Yeah, I probably already ate.
Hey,
I probably already ate that.
We got Mr. Paul
That's
Pate.
better.
I love it. We got Mr. Paul Pate in the chats. Paul Pate. How's it going, Paul? Paul is my inspiration. This man knocks out over 200-page graphic novels in his sleep.
How many subscribers you got?
I don't know off the top of my head, Ben, how many subscribers that I have. Yeah.
I just wish I could see this sub count.
Well, I'll show you the sub count after I'm done streaming, my dude.
I know. Or you could do it during break.
Dylan was saying, everyone listen to Ben. Dylan was saying Scott and him live in the same city. Nice. How is Arizona right now? I know that in California, it finally started getting... it's been hot up till the end of last week. Like, the end of last week, it's been, like, boiling hot. Like, just ridiculously hot. And suddenly, it got really cold recently. And we've got some weather things going on. What's up, Ben?
So we want a never have I ever sign.
You have a never have I ever sign?
I made 4. One
Okay.
for everyone.
And what? How do you do this again? I don't know if I remember never have I ever been.
So basically, somebody goes never have I ever, and then asks a quick, and then says a different statement, and then how mine is going to work is once they're finished with that statement, you can flip the sign, one side which will say I have, or the other side which will say never, and you hold up the side of the sign that you want to say toward the asker of the question.
Okay, so
Which I will also allow to hold up a sign themselves.
Okay, I like this.
Make sure to hold it up in a way that everyone can see.
Okay.
As in, like, everyone that's playing.
So Benji is making a never have I ever game.
Maybe if you wanted to, either I could ask the questions, or you could have your live audience in the chat ask them.
Okay. Well, I like the idea.
Can't wait to see what questions chat is going to make now.
I love the idea of us playing an interactive never have I ever game. I'm feeling like, Ben, we're gonna have to finish this this thumbnail first, and then maybe take a break and eat. But maybe when we stream again, we can do a brief never have I ever game that's interactive with the chat. That's a great idea, Ben.
Honestly, you'd think that you'd have to make the thumbnail earlier than... You'd think that you would make the thumbnail before you start recording, rather than after.
Yeah.
Because when you're live streaming, then how else are people going to see your stream?
Yeah.
Because if they see your stream on the bottom, they're going to see a thumbnail.
That's true. If they see the stream, they're gonna see a thumbnail. That's true, Ben.
Confuses me.
Yeah. Benji is giving me some great YouTube advice.
I know.
Yes.
It's because I'm like on YouTube 24/7 usually.
Yeah, he loves YouTube. Benji is a big fan.
I like watching YouTube.
He likes watching YouTube.
That's one of my my obsessions.
I don't know how much you guys can hear from Ben on the mic. Let me know in the chats if you can hear Ben when he's talking. I hope you can, because he's saying some really funny, interesting things.
So, you want to take the side?
I'm drawing Ben, so I have to draw. I'm sorry, dude. Yes, but if you want to hold up the sign, what are you going to ask? Are you going to? How does this work?
It can also be you asking me questions if you wanted to.
Yes.
And of course, we could have the chat ask questions.
Maybe we could ask.
And you can randomly read aloud from the chat, and then I can put them aside depending on my answer for it.
What if we ask the chat questions and then they could say, never have I ever, and what's the other option?
Actually, you could ask, never have I ever done this or that.
Uh-huh.
You could ask that, and then the chat will either say never or I have.
Okay, so I'm going to say, here's the thing, chat. Benji has a new game. He wants us to play it.
And I could also ask my own questions.
So if
and
I
could probably also, we could probably both also respond to the questions as well.
Okay, so Ben.
And maybe if the chat wanted to, they could make their own questions.
Okay, so Ben, if I say like never have I ever, is it something that I've never done, or is it just a prompt for people to say whether they have or not?
It's just a prompt.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a prompt.
Okay, so
whether they have or not, which is why you're still able to answer.
Okay. For some reason, Creative Cloud is having some kind of issue, so hopefully I can hit save. Ben, I need to focus on getting the art done. Hold on. Okay, I'm liking this. So here's the thing. We're going to do... this is a... Oh, that's scary. I just got a notification that said that Creative Cloud is having an issue, and so it needs to repair it. But I think that that's not going to affect the saving here. Okay, so I think that never. Okay, so the way the never have I ever, we'll probably be able to play one round. Okay, of never have I ever. So I will say,
maybe you can get back to it after the break if you have time.
Yes, maybe we'll do more after the break if we have time to. But for now, let's do one round of Never Have I Ever. So I'm going to say...
You want to have yourself ask a question, the chat ask a question, or me?
Okay, so I'm going to say Never Have I Ever, and I'm going to say something. And if you have, you say
I have.
You say I have in chats.
And if you have not...
And if you have not...
Before, then just say never.
Then you're going to say never. So...
But you have to say I have if you had in any points of your life.
So you have to say I have.
It doesn't matter how many times. It just matters if you've done it one or more.
Okay. Hopefully you guys are hearing those rules.
Yeah. You guys should probably understand that for ever if you played it before also.
Yeah, and even Dylan was saying, you've never played Never Have I Ever? And I have, but it's been over 20 years probably since I've played it. So
if you want me to, I can hold up the sign for you.
Okay, so I'm going to say something. Are you guys ready? And then you say Never Have I Ever or I have. So never...
never or I have.
Okay. So never have I ever eaten something while it was living.
I have never. I have not.
So chat, you need to say I have or I have never. I have never eaten something while it was alive.
It's okay. Dylan Magui of the Falasso said, while on break, you guys should come up with questions for the game, and they also responded never.
Yeah, I'll try to get Ben to come up with some really interesting questions, because I love the idea of us playing this while working on comics. That sounds really fun.
Thanks, Dylan.
That's Dylan, Ben. Dylan, D-Y-L-A-N. Dylan. But you're right.
It's just kind of difficult for me to pronounce things that I haven't heard before.
No, Ben, the pronouncing it Dylan is actually phonetic, so it makes sense that you would think that it was that, but that's usually Dylan, like Bob Dylan, D-Y-L-A-N.
Oh.
Yeah. But that's okay. That's how we learn, right?
Yep.
And that wasn't a bad guess because, again, that's phonetic, like Dylan, Dylan. It's not a bad guess. Frank said...
A lot of people are saying never. And Chris said maybe a bug by accident.
Oh, dang. Chris, maybe you should say, I have. Because if you've eaten a bug by accident, I have definitely, you know what? I have to kind of respond to my own prompt. I might have to say I have, because I definitely at some point in my life have had one of those moments where I'm like driving, the window's open, you like do a big sigh or something, and then a fly like flies into your mouth, and you've basically eaten a fly. Yeah, that's a really good caveat, Chris.
Hey, Dad.
We might all have to revise our answers now.
Dad?
Yep.
Look at this dude in the chat.
Which one?
It's not Salazar.
Yes, that's Frank. Frank Salazar. That's our moderator. Okay. He said, listen.
Frank said, listen, Josh, I'm not implicating myself in cannibalism. I have.
Well, I didn't say another a living being, a living person. My goodness, Frank.
Yeah, he did not specifically say that.
That's
If he did say that, we would probably get some criminals in the chat.
I love it. Benji is like rocking the live streaming business right now.
I know. Too bad I'm not a streamer myself.
Oh my goodness, Frank.
If I were a streamer, I would probably be a gameplay streamer.
Yeah, Ben, you should hear what Frank said. He said, I've done a live stream about eating bugs, and I have eaten a live grasshopper. And this is true.
So
Frank would have to say I have. Yeah. I forgot about the bug.
The chat isn't like spamming answers right now, though. I was kind of expecting more of a fast chat.
Oh, snap. Benji is challenging you guys to answer the questions. He was like, I was expecting more participation here, guys.
Expecting more than 5 people to be answering.
It's true. All right, guys. Chris.
Also, I do happen to have my own mic, but it's not actually connected to anything, so it won't work.
Okay.
But I can just use it as a prop anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
Is this louder?
Dylan said we have been roasted. That's where you were saying you were expecting more lively chat.
I actually was expecting more people.
Yes. Chris said I ate
expecting a lot more answers.
Yeah, Chris said I ate a cricket in Mexico, but it was toasted. Yeah, it wasn't living, right? Okay, guys, we did our never have I ever.
Wait, so if you guys have been roasted, does that mean you're dead, or?
That's true. Yeah, if you've been roasted, that was a good joke.
Literally.
Okay, guys, so we have done an interesting stream where
I did a better troll face.
Ben, you gotta let me close out. I'm gonna close out, okay? All right, so we've done an interesting stream, but thank you. You were rad. Okay, we've done an interesting stream. We've talked about breakfast foods, all kinds of stuff. We had some really entertaining never have I ever from Benjamin himself.
Yep.
We had a lovely never have I ever conversation. We roasted the Yankees for losing. We talked about, again, very heated breakfast conversation, and we finished toning page 121. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel. I don't
know what I'm doing with my mic.
Okay. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel, and you have hit like, and you leave comments, all that kind of stuff. That way you'll be notified when we go live again, because I'm going to be working on colors for this page, and maybe we'll do some more never have I ever on this channel.
Yeah, I would appreciate that, because I'd love to answer that myself too.
I love it.
You know what, Dad? Maybe we could do some real life never have I ever in the meantime.
We might be able to. Break. Yeah, we might be able to. So with that being said,
you have an entire 4 sides. Everyone would be able to get one.
because there's 4 people living here.
That's true. All right. So with that being said, we will see. Chris was saying, I think YouTube Kid is a natural. Yeah. All right, guys.
No, I am. I probably would be. Too bad I don't have my own YouTube account.
That's a fair point. All right, guys. We will see you guys on the next live stream. I will see you. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Bye.